How y'all doing? Great. Looks like we got a lot of new people here, so let me introduce myself. My name's Brian Bates. I'm 35 years old. I'm single with no girlfriend and no real prospects. Why are you laughing? That was just a joke. You know me. I don't live with my parents, but I do live in Donaldson, which is almost as bad. Is there anywhere more cool to live than Donaldson? People stand in line in Green Hills for the Cheesecake Factory. They stand in line in Hillsborough Village for the Pancake Pantry. What in Donaldson would anyone ever consider standing in line for? The only time I've ever seen it is at the Donaldson Senior Citizen Center when they had a new batch of flu shots in. You can live in East Nashville, Bellevue, even Antioch has gangs. That's kind of cool. Me and some of my Donaldson friends started a gang once. We called ourselves the Briley Parkway Boys. Turns out there were two other gangs in other parts of Nashville also called the Briley Parkway Boys. We kept getting each other's mail, so we finally had to disband. Which is a shame too, because I'm a bad man. What? Why are you laughing? Tell you what, if I ever started another gang, I will not name it after a street in Nashville, because we have these streets that just go on forever. I met a girl at a bar the other night. We talked for a couple hours, and she said, "Why don't you come back to my place later tonight?" I was like, "Cool." She wrote down her street on a piece of paper and said she was the third house on the left. She lived on Old Hickory Boulevard. After driving around the greater Davidson County area for about 3 hours, I finally gave up, just went back to Donaldson. It's a shame it didn't work out because it's tough being single at my age. When you're in your mid-20s, your married friends say, "He's playing the field." When you're in your mid-30s, they say, "Oh, that's sad." You get treated differently in public when you're single at my age. Of course, it doesn't help that every time a single guy's in the news, it's probably because he did something pretty bad. You hear about this guy in Missouri? He was just arrested for kidnapping the 2 boys and holding them hostage in his house. Now every time I go out to get my newspaper, my neighbors are staring at me like, "I know he's got something weird going on there." Yeah, I can't keep a goldfish from escaping, but they think I'm a kid for 4 years. And I hate it when I go to restaurants and ask for a table and they ask me if the rest of my party's arrived. I say I am the party, they look at me like, "Great. I've got to waste an entire table on this loser." I'll probably order water. Which I do, but I'm just not very good. Sometimes my married friends will show up and see me and they're like, "Oh, that's sad." I try to get out and do cool things. I go to a lot of sporting events. I try to get out of Donaldson and go to some Predators games, but it's hard being cool at those Predators games when they start throwing out that free stuff in the crowd. We love that free stuff, don't we? They come out and we just stand to attention like a fight just broke out in the high school cafeteria. I'm not talking about kids, I'm talking about grown men just going nuts. There's always that one guy that's way too into it. He's like 3 rows from the top, and he thinks the 90-pound girl on skates is going to be able to keep it up there to him. Believe it or not, I actually did catch a T-shirt of the night at the Predators game. I outthought 2 women for it. Well, actually, one of them was like 13. I'd like to say she was big for her age, but she really wasn't. And if any of you here happen to teach McMurray Middle School, Missy Radcliffe really did get those bruises at a hockey game. Pretty sore, I'm sorry. The only time I see adults act more like children is when I fly Southwest. Because Southwest is the adult version of riding the school bus. You're trying to get a good seat while at the same time hoping the fat kid doesn't sit by you. No, they're not exactly the same, of course. The average Southwest flight does make more stops than a school bus. What, do you have stock in Southwest or something? And you can't lower your window on the plane by pushing in those tabs with your index fingers. You know what I'm talking about. But there are a lot of similarities. The Southwest gate is kind of like the bus stop. And they even treat us like kids by putting us in that A, B, and C line. But there's never enough room in the line, so all the lines kind of merge together, so no one's really sure what line they're in, so everyone's always asking, "What, is this neighbor? What line are you in? Stop pushing." No one ever knows. No. I think the the people in the A group are kind of like the overachieving kids, the one that are proud they got their homework done so early. In other words, how quickly they print out the boarding pass. You always hear them bragging about it. Yeah, did it from a home computer. After midnight. I don't get these people in the A group who still get up there and stand in line like an hour early. Do they not think they're going to get a seat? They're in the A group. I know already. Stop rubbing it in. People in the C group, they're kind of like those kids that just barely got their homework in at all. They're just happy to be counted. But nevertheless, I would choose to sit in the C group. I always do. And on top of that, I always make sure I'm one of the last people on the plane. Because I like to choose who I sit by. To me, it's more important who I sit by than what seat I get. I would much rather sit in the middle between two hot girls and get my great aisle seat and then have some 300-pound heart attack candidate climb over me. He ran all the way to the gates and now he's trying to cool down. He didn't have time to eat before he came, so he brought his food with him. He's got a McDonald's bag so big it barely made it as a carry-on. No thank you, I'll take my chances. Now, just because I want to sit beside the hot girls doesn't mean they want me to sit by them. And they see me coming a mile away. At least as soon as I board that plane to make the turn down the aisle. They're always sitting there acting like they're reading their magazine, but really they're looking at the corner of their eye thinking, God, please do not let this guy sit by me. Look at the way he's dressed. He's got Donaldson written all over him.